Hi everyone, this is Scott Dudley from Funnel Fella Radio, and today I've got another special guest all the way over from New Jersey in the States, Michael Schauer. How you going?
What's up, man? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
No worries. All right, so let's jump straight into the questions. So tell me a little bit about your background and how you got into marketing, copywriting, and funnels.
Yeah, so I started off in design. I was doing a lot of logo design, branding work. I didn't know what copywriting was yet, but I was doing web design and actually writing. I was doing the writing for clients because I found that they either were not good at writing the content for their website or they just wouldn't hand it in to me to be put on. So I just started writing it myself. And because I would learn about sales and how to sell, I was writing with that intention. So technically I was writing copy, but I didn't know what copywriting was yet. So eventually a friend of mine said, who was a client, she said, so what you're doing for me is awesome, but you know that this does not fit into web design. Like, this is copywriting and you should be charging more for it.
Oh, for sure.
I was totally undercharging, which is something that, so many of us go through that offer services at first. So after that, I started looking into it more. I would start charging for it. But then also with my web design skills, with my knowledge and my passion for creating also just different startups and ideas, I came up with swipeco and basically applied, my knowledge of how to build websites with my love for copywriting and also for psychology and persuasion and geeking out on that.
Okay, so when did you actually build the site? How far back was it?
Yeah, it was like 2000. I started building it around 2014. It was like finished 2015. And keep in mind, this was just a side project. I wasn't like trying to build a business off of this. I liked building sites, and I knew that if anybody else didn't use it and it was just me and my friends, that it would still be cool because this is what I do anyway, and this is what a lot of other people that are in the industry, they love looking at other examples and breaking them down and stuff. So I knew there was something there.
Yeah, perfect. So for those that don't know, swipe.co is, as it sounds, it's a website full of swipes from all the famous copywriters, which you can categorize into different categories and you can find exactly what you're looking for. How many pieces of marketing do you reckon are on there approximately? It looks like there's hundreds.
Yeah, in the free archive, I think there's definitely over 400, but what's really like key with those is that I'd say 80 to 90% of them, they all have commentary, and I break all of those examples down. And that was kind of a rule for me with the content on my site, is I didn't want to post it unless I gave that background info, because that was one of my intentions with sharing, because a lot of people they've shared different examples before and stuff, but no one really focused on breaking down the psychology of why they worked. And so that was really important to me. So as much as it's awesome to have a lot of examples, I wanted to make sure that it was about the reverse engineering aspect. So there's going to be, and I'm working on, on the back end and for my membership and stuff, I'm working on like really having a huge, like massive, like everything that I have. But it's important to me for now that I make sure that commentary and that perspective is in there, because that's how I think people really benefit.
Yeah, well, I first came across your commentary on Funnel University, which is a similar type of idea. That Russell put together, and he got you to take that over. That would have been pretty interesting.
Yeah, Russell's a huge fan of my site, and he reached out to me, or actually I reached out to him, and then we just started a dialogue, and he started buying my T-shirts. I don't know if you've seen him wear any of the copywriter T-shirts, and he naturally, like, I was just a great fit for Funnel University, and the guy is so busy and doing so many things. So he handed the reins over to me basically. And he's so cool about it, where it's just like, hey man, I trust in you, just whatever you want to write about every month. And I've been doing it for, I think, almost 2 years now.
Yeah. Okay. Just getting back to the T-shirts, I did have a look at your site and I saw the Claude Hopkins T-shirt. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, in Claude we trust.
Yeah, that's
I
the
have
one.
yeah, I have a bunch of ones I'm going to be releasing of marketing legends, because I just think it's so cool to like of David Ogilvy and some even lesser known guys, also like Gary Halbert, Eugene Schwartz, all these people that when someone says who should you look at first for copywriting, usually those guys are mentioned, as like the foundational and the starters of a lot of the techniques and stuff that we talk about now.
Absolutely. So do you run swipe.co on your own, or do you have a team helping you to put that together?
No, it's me on my own. I have other people that may help me with research and stuff like that, or otherwise though, if I need help with the site or with something I'm building, I'll maybe go to hire somebody like for help. But right now it's just me, man. So maybe in the future that'll change, but I've been fortunate where with my web design and my web development background, I've been able to kind of, and I want to do, I like doing that, so it's not like I'm forcing myself to do it.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. So one thing that I'm really curious about is how you managed to get access to all of those swipes.
Tons of research, man. Just tons of research. So one of the first things I did, like back in 2015, 2016, and this is what I was hinting at earlier of like putting everything I have, I got access to all these library newspaper databases. I paid for all the newspaper databases. And I just searched and searched and searched, with looking up different footprints, different companies that I saw in different print ads, because I was hell-bent on getting all of the ads, as many as possible, from all of these like legends, like Gary Halbert. I have like over 70 of his ads, and there's like there's a lot out there of these different copywriting legends and even lesser known people. So I did a ton. I'm a big researcher. I love research, and that's with the old stuff, but also the newer stuff. I'm always trying to stay on top of it and seeing what's out there.
Okay, I'm not sure if you've heard of AWAI, Michael Masterson. Yeah, I remember I joined that program ages ago, and they had 50 of the best all-time swipes or something in there, or something like that. That was really cool. I remember looking at those, like the Wall Street Journal ads and stuff like that. So
yeah, I have that book, the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the Hall of Fame. That's the one. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. So just out of interest, would you say the old swipes, like pre-internet days, like Gary Halbert, are better or worse than the modern day stuff? Or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, there's definitely, and this is something that I want to teach, maybe come out with a course for this or something, but there's this idea that, and beginning copywriters could kind of mess this up, is that they think just because everyone worships this guy and says his stuff was great, that let me just model what he was doing. And you have to know what to look at. Like, for instance, markets and niches, they evolve. And like Eugene Schwartz, he has this concept of market sophistication, and this whole idea that markets evolve, they become smarter, they become, more aware. And so you have to be aware of that, because otherwise you might look at an old ad and use the same type of language for a particular audience, but that's not going to work. So it's important to know like what's the psychology that's like evergreen, like emotional, how to tap into emotions, and just different kind of like foundational human nature stuff that really hasn't changed. That's the stuff that you can still draw from. But it takes a recognition of that,
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really just the person studying that stuff, like reading up on it so they can recognize it.
Yeah, like say a weight loss ad in the 60s, you wouldn't be able to use that now, of course, because things have changed a bit. That's sort of what you're saying.
Yeah. Like it can't just be, pop this pill and shed 50 pounds, anymore. Like, because at one point, taking a pill to lose weight would be a big deal. So then just by saying that, that's brand new. That's a novel idea, but it loses the novelty.
Yeah, for sure. So who are the biggest name copywriters that you've actually met in person, and what were they like?
Oh, well, I've met a good amount, you know, obviously living ones anyway. I mean, a lot of guys I was talking about, they're dead, but
Yeah.
yeah, you know, through Kevin Rogers, Copy Chief. You familiar with Copy Chief?
I used to be a member. Yeah, I know Kevin well. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah. I recently went to the event in October that he has Copy Chief live.
Okay.
And that's definitely one of the best events where you'll find a lot of the OG guys like John Carlton.
Oh man.
I don't know if you know, like some of the guys that used to write for a company called Boardroom, because I was really big. That's what like Eugene Schwartz wrote for. And guys like David Deutsch and
Brian
Harris
Kurtz.
What's that?
Brian Kurtz.
Yeah, Brian Kurtz. Yep, yeah, he was the one that was running Boardroom.
Yeah.
I actually haven't met him. He wasn't there. I haven't met him at an event yet. But yeah, he seems like an awesome guy. I mean, I've talked to him online. But yeah, so in terms of how they are, you know, it's funny because you would not. These usually, I mean, sure, everybody's, you know, different and unique. So there's all different types of copywriters, but when you remember and keep in mind that these copywriters, like, they're behind the screen, writing, doing things in a very independent and kind of non-social way. So you would think these persuasion masters, you know, they know all it, that they would be the ones that are talking it up and that are super social, but it's not always the case. They can often be a little bit obscure, and you would not know that they are as good as they are in person.
Yeah, I guess copywriting in a lot of ways is an introvert sort of thing, isn't it? More so than a salesman that's going out and talking to people. So in some ways that makes sense, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's not what you expected. Yeah.
No, not at all.
Yeah. So do you have any other side projects that you're up to other than swipe.co, or is that just mainly what you're focusing on these days?
Yeah, well, right now, I mean, I might have more of a personal brand that I'm going to create that's kind of on the personal development side, but I'm not rushing into that because what I'm building right now, which I'm really excited about for my membership for the premium, is a swiping extension. So members could start to save stuff to the site. And not only is that great for people, for the user experience, but also for me to make it easier for me to save stuff. That's gonna open things up a lot because it's gonna be the same type of format, you know, and this is gonna carry into the free archives too and everything.
Yeah.
But terms of like the usability and the convenience of being able to save stuff, only if I used it, I mean, it would help the site so much because it's just gonna be a lot easier for me to document.
So is that like a Chrome extension you're talking about, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's like the perfect example of solving a problem that you've got yourself and then using that to sell to other people, which is a good idea these days. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the foundation of the business is, like I said, I started it kind of as a side project, but knowing that I would use it. And so you find that usually if you really are excited about something, there's usually a nugget there. Like there's usually a seed that you can grow and that has potential.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have a good story about one of your swipes being used for a highly successful marketing campaign, and any ideas why you believe it performed so well? Has anybody sort of come up with any stories or?
I've had people email me. Yeah, I've had people. I remember the first one vaguely, but he had mentioned these crazy numbers. Like he used this one breakdown I did. It's like a Agora sales letter. Agora is like a big copywriting company.
Yep.
And I forget the numbers, but he was like, yeah, it brought in like, you know, 350,000 or something. It was something, you know, where when I heard it, I guess at the time, especially, I wasn't thinking about people reporting back to me with how one specific like piece helped them. So that was really cool. And then I'll get other examples like that. It depends how outgoing people are and usually I hear those type of stories when I meet people in person. You know, because you have to be the real outgoing and like, I guess really excited to share type
Yeah.
to email it to me, you know. But yeah, there's plenty of those stories. In terms of like why I was successful, I think that goes back to, you had asked me, and this relates to it, even though you asked about old ads, like how do you use them? And how someone uses that particular whatever they reference is everything, because it has to do with understanding like why it worked and how it can fit your particular situation, and not necessarily modeling the whole entire thing, but just taking bits and pieces of it. Like it can be simple as, and in copywriting, leads are very important, like how you lead a sales letter.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as modeling the lead and just switching it up for your offer or whatever, and that could make a big difference, you know. So
Yeah,
it's all
absolutely.
about how you use it.
If they don't read past through the lead, then they're not going to read the rest of it, are they? And you won't make any sales
Yeah,
from it. So yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have any favorite tools or platforms that you use to build or optimize funnels or marketing campaigns?
I don't actively build funnels because I'm really like just focused on my site.
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
And my site is very custom because of the experience that I'm building, and it's built on WordPress. So there's only like so much I could do. I wish I could more easily use something like a ClickFunnels or something like that, but I just have to I have to make it a little bit more custom. So yeah, I'm not that much into certain tools and stuff like that. Yeah, in terms of building funnel, but you know, obviously, there's only so many for funnel building, right? I mean, you have ClickFunnels. I know GrooveSell is one that's like coming. Have you seen advertisements for that?
No. Oh, actually, I have seen it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. They're coming in, and I wonder what Russell thinks about this. But they're basically coming in with a free angle and saying, and I don't know what the intention is or how they're making money on the back end, but like you get a lifetime free access to this, so you don't have to pay. And I thought that was so interesting. Like, how do we try to undercut ClickFunnels to become like the top guy? But really, you got to handle that carefully, you know, because now you're trying to win on price. So that's why I haven't checked it out yet or anything. But
how would he pay his developers? I mean, obviously developers have got to keep that running and improve upon it.
Yeah.
And if they're not getting any cash flow, then it doesn't really make sense, does it?
Yeah, I'm sure they're very savvy about it, and I don't know 100% who's behind it or anything, but
you're right.
yeah,
There must be some sort of back end there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Otherwise, it would not work, because that type of software, you need, you know, help with that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I guess you could say you're a WordPress guy. That'd just be the best way to put it, wouldn't it?
I'm very used to WordPress. I have been since, you know, my web design days, so it's just natural for me. And they have a lot of great. So in terms of WordPress, I mean, like Thrive and OptimizePress, and there's a lot of great things with WordPress. You know, I can't knock it. It's definitely, if people like that type of platform.
Yeah, from what I've experienced, though, you need to be more like a developer like you to get it working properly, because the plugins can conflict, and if you don't know what you're doing, then it can become a bit of a headache. But yeah,
and I think it was because I think OptimizePress and those plugins were out before ClickFunnels.
Yeah,
and I'm sure a lot of people that were not tech savvy, they gravitated towards something like that.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Cool. So what are 2 or 3 of the biggest and most common mistakes that you see marketers making these days, or copywriters?
Yeah. So I think, and it's something I was talking about recently. I think today, because there's so much noise and there's so many different people in different niches, in different markets, that are advertising, that are promoting themselves, because it's the barriers to entry are so low, right? So I think maybe not enough people focused on branding and in the sense of like building a brand and having this authentic symbol, this authentic like brand image that people vibe with, where it's not so much about how are you getting them to open your emails based on the subject line, but like opening emails just because they want to hear from you and because you have like they like you, you know. So it depends on the business. Like if it's a personality business, that totally applies. But I feel like branding is very important today in terms of like long-term play and cutting through the noise, because you're going to automatically cut through and like get your emails opened and like get attention if people, they see your face and think, I like that guy. Like I want, you know, versus trying to win based on persuasion tactics and gimmicky stuff and anything like that. So I think that's super important. And going with that, I think focusing on, because along with a lot of people now being in these, you know, in these different markets and stuff, there's also a lot of like mediums and different social media and different platforms and stuff. So I feel like, just like, you know, you're doing podcasts, you're doing these interviews, I feel like it usually works well for people to find one thing that they focus on more, so that they don't get so spread out and so discombobulated trying to do absolutely everything, unless you have a team that can handle it. But you know, I mean, me and I'd imagine, I don't know if you will kind of if you have a team or anything, but I'd imagine like you probably resonate with that too, right? Where focus on one particular avenue, one particular medium, and you do the others, but get good, like gravitate to what you think, what's most natural for you, what you like the most.
Yeah, exactly. I used to try to do blogging and writing out blog posts, but yeah, that frustrated me, and I got tired of doing it. And then I was trying to do the daily emails, sort of a bit like the Ben Settle style, but I didn't have the discipline to keep doing it, and I wasn't creative enough. And then in the end, I just decided to try podcasting, and that seems to be the easiest for me, you know, as long as I can get people to interview and can convert the podcast into a blog post, into a video, and I mean, use it for all different forms of media.
Yeah, and I like how you approach it too, where you have these, you like your questions are really good, and I feel like that's the essence of a good podcast. Is it's about how you vibe with the person too, but the questions. And so if you're good at asking questions, right, then you like fascinating questions, it's going to be a good podcast, unless the person that you have on just doesn't want to share anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can see by the questions that I've, you know, done my research and I've had a good look at your website and I know who you are. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. And not every podcast person is like that. So
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, you can tell for sure.
Yeah. Cool. So what are you curious about or researching right now regarding digital marketing, sort of looking towards the future?
Well, yeah, a lot of things stay the same, you know, going back to that idea of human nature and psychology and all that stuff. And it's just kind of in different forms. So like, for instance, I don't know if you remember, but like in 2008, 2009, around that time, like whiteboard video sales letters became big, and then regular video sales letters. And now people are doing more video. And there's even some more like advanced, a really cool VSL that I've seen is numerologist.com, where they do like, it's very advanced, where the tech creates like a customized reading for you, like based on what you put in. Okay. So it all depends on the tech, I think, in terms of how we present the messages, because that changes, like the presentation, the delivery of the message. But in terms of understanding your market, your audience, and how to get them to take action, you know, that really doesn't change that much. So I'm always interested to see how people are presenting their messages and like different ways they're doing it. But a lot of things stay the same, you know. So it's a lot of it is about the tech.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the principles remain the same, but it's usually the tech that changes. And I think sort of part of what you're talking about there is the personalization, where somebody will visit a
Yeah.
page and it'll look like it's especially for them, rather than just a generic page that they send to everybody. So yeah, and
Oh
technology
yeah.
makes that a bit easier. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. So who are your marketing idols or the biggest influences on your career?
I would say I probably listened in total to more Dan Kennedy stuff than anybody else. Are you familiar with Dan Kennedy?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's been a little bit unwell lately. Hopefully he's getting better.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I think he's getting better, but he just has, and it has a lot to do with how much material he has, because he has
Yeah.
created so much over the years, very prolific, but a lot of foundational stuff where I watched and read and listened to his stuff and probably more learned from him more than anybody else. But then obviously, all the big copywriting legends, and I've liked and read all the classics, David Ogilvy, Eugene Schwartz, Gary, all those guys, Claude Hopkins, because you got to respect and appreciate what they've done and kind of the path that they've created. So, yeah, but in terms of a living person, Dan Kennedy would definitely be the foundation. And then after that, I follow people here and there, but mostly people I know, and mostly, obviously like Russell and stuff. And
Yep.
because otherwise, a lot of my learning is through my research and through just kind of my breakdowns to optimize my content and stuff.
Okay. I'm reading a Dan Kennedy book at the moment called Making Them Believe. Have you heard of that one?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's got an interesting story.
Yeah, I'm halfway through that. It's fascinating with the story about, what was he, Dr. Brinkley with his formula, something about the goat's testicles or something.
Testicles, yeah.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, it's
I
different.
know. Yeah, that is one of his different ones where it's not just information based, there's like a story behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, cool. So just to wrap it up, I think we've already covered this anyway, but where can people go to find out more about your services and or your products?
Yeah, so people go to swiped.co, and through that they'll be able to browse, all the free material I have on there. And in terms of my membership, where I do like really in-depth breakdowns and I have these different tools that I've created, there's a link, swipe.co/invite, and that's a free 2-week trial. So check it out.
Perfect. All right, awesome. Thanks very much for joining us today, Mike. I really appreciate your time. That was a blast. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, I did too, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, take care. See you later.
All right.